Hey everyone, Lynn and I have uh, a massive announcement and multi layered prayer request for you. Um, back in, the story starts a long time before October, but back in October, I was in Ontario for the day of prayer, and the day after that, I was listening to ministry, and my heart just I think probably more than ever before in my life, my heart just burned within me. And I had tears running down my face, and I was trying to be subtle, wiping tears off my face. And finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. And I think this is the only time in my life I've done this, but I asked my friend for his keys, and I went out to the parking lot. And by the time I got into the back of his minivan, I just exploded into prayer and tears. And said, Lord, how are we going to reach them? And here am I, send me. Here am I, send me. Here am I, send me. And in that moment, in prayer with the Lord, I have it all written down on my phone. I've tried to record every step. But in that moment, the Lord made it abundantly clear to me that He was going to send Lynn and I out into the harvest. And so I wrote it down, and then I asked the Lord just to make it so clear. I know what a little man I am, and I know how short I can fall, and I know how easily I can mess things up. In God's glory, it's too important to mess up. And so I said, Lord, please just don't let me mess it up, and please make it so clear. And anyways, I was reading this book at the time. It's George Mueller's Answer to Prayer. And in his first chapter, he talks about discerning the will of God. And I sat in the Buffalo airport on the way home from that trip, and I read that first chapter. And one of the things that he says is that it would be foolish to rely alone on what he calls the voice of the Spirit that you discern in prayer. The early brethren would have called it the still small voice, but it's the same thing. He said it'd be foolish to rely on that alone. But in any kind of major decision, George Mueller made it a habit to ask the Lord to confirm it with the Word of God. So this was new to me at the time, and so I sat there. I was actually in the airport for hours that day, and I sat there and I said, "Okay, Lord, do I just keep on with my daily reading, or do you specifically direct me somehow?" And then I knew. I just knew before the Lord exactly where to turn in my Bible, and it wasn't because I knew the passage, because I didn't. And within 6 or 7 chapters, it was so obvious to me. It was like words were leaping off the page, or like they were bold type. And it was just so obvious to me that it would have been disobedience not to write it down. Like the Lord just made it abundantly clear that he was sending us out. And it was little phrases like they went out not knowing where they were going, and they left Egypt, and just all kinds of little things like that. It just was so clear to me. So you fast forward a couple months, and I went to the Lord one day in prayer, and I don't know if this was bold or not, but I didn't mean to be bold. But I said, Lord, I don't feel I can do my job moving forward unless I know more than what I know now. And I had the best time of prayer with the Lord that day. And He made it clear that what we were going to do was to be involved in a fresh work of God that would reproduce itself around North America and beyond. And I sat in the Lord's presence in quietness until it was so abundantly clear. And then according to what I call the George Mueller principle, I asked the Lord to confirm it with His Word, and He did. I think I'm going to leave, for sake of time, leave details out, but He did. He confirmed it so clearly with His Word in such a delightful way. And I have all that recorded on my phone too. And then you fast forward to last weekend. I haven't felt well for about 2 weeks now, and I was supposed to help moderate the Midwest Men's Bible Study. And so about a week ago, I was thinking about that study, and I said to the Lord in the quiet place of prayer, I said, Lord, do you want me to go to this study? And I knew His answer in that quiet place. He assured me in that quiet place. He didn't even specifically talk about the study. It was that he was going to send us out of the Midwest. And it kind of startled me because I wasn't expecting his direction yet. I knew his direction would come at the perfect time. He had already told us that we were going to go, and he had already told us what kind of work in a very general sense we would be involved in. And I knew his timing would be perfect, but I just didn't expect it yet. So it startled me. And then I spent some time in prayer that day, and I started to get a general impression of where. And then I just left it with the Lord. The next day, the impression was stronger, and I just left it with the Lord. The next day, the impression was so strong, I wrote it down on my phone, and I told my wife, I said, babe, I really think before the Lord, this is how he's directing. I have 2 North American maps in my office, and as I pray, I'll pray over these maps, I'll look at these maps, and the impression was just so distinct. And then finally, the next day, I had a prayer meeting in the morning, nothing to do with these things. And then I was listening to a message on prayer, and I paused it, and I looked at my map, and I just began to pour my heart out to the Lord. And then I said, this is it, isn't it? And the Lord said, in that quiet place, I knew he was instructing me to write it down. And so I wrote it down. So here's our announcement. Lynn and I are going to move in the Lord's time. We're going to wait on his time, but we're going to move to the Monterey Bay, California area. And the whole purpose that he's sending us out there for is to see a fresh and powerful work of God. By the way, that this last step, at 12, when I felt before the Lord that he had instructed me to write it down in prayer, it was right around 12:20 on Monday, last Monday. And later I found out, I asked my wife for her sales ticket. She was at Sam's Club, and it was just that moment that she was in line paying for the groceries that she got. And the lady who checked her out, she had a cross on her shirt and Galatians 5:1. Now I'm at home here, and I said, Lord, please, I have this actually written down on my phone. According to the George Mueller principle, please, would you confirm this with your word? And my wife is at Sam's Club, and she looks at the reference. Now, she knows that verse, but she couldn't think of it. And so she thought, I'll have to look that up later. So she comes home. We had a fairly brief little lunch, and then she went upstairs. And at lunch, I told her what the Lord had given me. And I just really felt earnest. In fact, I felt completely convinced that after I think 3 or 4 days in a row, it was just so clear, the Lord's direction. But I had asked the Lord to confirm it with his word. I don't want to rob the Lord of glory. I'm just a little man. I don't want to mess this up. So anyways, so Lynn goes upstairs after lunch, and she said, Lord, it's just an honest, humble question. She said, Lord, how do you confirm a geography with your word? And again, instantly into her mind comes this reference. It was for freedom, or Galatians 5:1. So she looks it up on her phone, and it says, it is for freedom that Christ set us free. And then she thought, I wonder if there's a Freedom, California. And so she Googled it, and Freedom, California is right on Monterey Bay. And so now, would I make the whole decision based on one little thing like that? No. I mean, it's been 100 little things like that, and the weight has just gotten so huge. Like, the Lord has made himself so clear. Lynn and I, we don't need any more leading from the Lord to know what he has directed us. Let me give you one more. When I was talking to the Lord on December 10th, it's my mom's birthday, so I can remember that date. I had the best time of prayer with the Lord, and the Lord showed me in prayer that day that he said, Scott, I'm sending you out. I'm setting you free. You're going to walk on the water with me. And the Lord knows my heart. He knows that's all I want in the world, is to be out of the boat. I only want to live a life that can only be explained by the majesty and omnipotence of God. If I get to the end of my life and have lived a life that could be explained through my abilities, I would consider it a failure. So anyway, so he actually told me in December that he was going to set us free. And then here, the verse that he uses that he gives Lynn is it is for freedom that we've been set free. So, anyways, it's just been such an awesome journey. It's been we asked the elders to pray with us many months ago about the next step, and it's just such a joy to see it. So let me, if I could, one of the huge things that we're going to be looking for is people that are committed to praying. I've never really thought of myself this way because I was born in this culture and I've ministered primarily in this culture, but I'm beginning to think more of it like missions. And even though I'm not going across an ocean, I'm beginning to think of it that way. And I really, more than ever before in my life, I want a team of people that are going to pray. And so I have a list of things here. If you want to pray with us, we would covet that massively, your prayers. So in June, Lord willing, Lynn and I are going to go out and scout out the land, so to speak. We'll be there for 3.5 weeks, something like that. Please pray that every detail will be of the Lord. Where we'll stay, we want to make our way around the bay and ask the Lord to make it so clear, so clear that where exactly he has us to settle. If it's exactly in Freedom, California, or if it's in Monterey on the south end of the bay, we just want the Lord to guide in every detail. Every detail. I don't want to assume anything. And so please, in June, we're going to go out and pray and make our way around the bay and just ask the Lord to really guide. We may even look at properties while we're there. Again, the Lord's going to have to, it all depends on the Lord's time and how he leads us along in this process. If it's not of him, we don't want to be a part of it. And so he has to lead it every step of the way. And we just want to follow. We want to hold his hand and walk on the water with him. So we're going to, please pray that the Lord would prepare souls in California. Again, the vision, the burden, God's burden that he has imparted to us is a fresh work of God that will be reproduced, that will reproduce itself around North America and beyond. And that is so much bigger than us. It's laughable. I didn't even have the physical strength to go to the Midwest Men's Bible Study. I don't know if I'm going to have the physical strength to go to the meetings tomorrow at my own chapel. And I delight in this. Paul said he boasts in his infirmity, his physical inability to do that which his heart desires, that the power of Christ may rest upon him. And so I do the same. I boast in my physical inability because I want 100% of this to be of the Lord. So please pray that the Lord would prepare souls. Please also pray that the Lord will prepare the team. And what I mean by that is first and foremost a team of prayer warriors. And I'm going to say right now, if you want to be a part of that, if you, not necessarily just prayer warriors, but if you want to get updates about the work, if you want to be a prayer partner in the work, please just email lynndegroff@gmail.com. That's my wife's name at gmail.com. So lynndegroff@gmail.com. And we will begin to compile a list where we send out our updates, our prayer requests, all the rest of it. And you can be a part of the journey with us. And then also, please pray, if you would, for the team. The work is going to be, it's going to be so much bigger than just a local assembly. In fact, it's not even specifically a local assembly that we're being sent to plant, quote unquote. Our focus is going to be on being the church, not planting a church. So when we move there, obviously, see, I don't even know where there is yet. But as soon as Christians move to a location, the church has moved there because the church is the people. And so our focus is just going to be on the work that God lays out before us, step by step by step. We certainly don't have every detail, but it's so much bigger than us. I know I have actually, in prayer, I have the Lord's assurance that he's putting together a team. And so please pray for that team. Please pray that the Lord would keep anybody he doesn't want on that team off of it. And then he would add to that team anybody and everybody that he desires. Our only desire is that it's of him. But that's a fundamental, essential part of the work. So, and then I'll just throw these out there quickly. Another prayer request that's close to my heart is that we wouldn't mess it up. I love the Lord, and I want him to get all the glory he could possibly get. And I know how little I am, and I know how easily I could mess it up in 1,000 different ways. So just please pray that we would walk with God every day in an unhindered way, 100% unhindered way, that we would do all things for the glory of God, and that he would meet us where we are in our weakness, and lead us on for his glory. So thank you for listening. This is a incredibly joyful time in our life, and we're excited to follow the Lord. If the Lord wasn't going, I wouldn't want to go. And if any of it depended on me, it would fail and I wouldn't want to be a part of it. But since the Lord is so clearly directed, praise God, bring it on. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So whatever he calls us to, he will provide everything that's necessary for every aspect of the work moving forward. So we love you guys. You mean the world to us. Your prayers, your being behind us, all of that, it means the world. So praise God. We'll communicate with you again as the Lord gives opportunity, and as he unveils this path before us. So take care. Lord bless.